episode 6 of the Broadway Shuffle for Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler. I'm Brennan. We're here on a game week. We've overcome the Washington State loss, so we think, and we've got North Texas coming into Lubbock on Saturday. Boys, how are y'all doing? And are you guys over Saturday night yet, or are we still kind of depressed from the outcome in Pullman?
Still depressed.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I feel like it shifted the trajectory of the season significantly downward in my mind. So chance to right the ship this weekend, but not super optimistic.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that you lost the game. I think if you lost the game 39-38, something like that, it'd be a little bit easier to swallow. But the way you lost the game makes you wonder what the rest of the season is going to look like at this point. So we'll see if we can right the ship this weekend, but has a whole different feel to it than it did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if it's just what we're about to get into or not, but for some reason I'm feeling really good about Saturday, at least at 11 a.m. So we'll get into it, but we like to start each episode here on the Broadway Shuffle, a Texas Tech sports podcast, with something we like to call Conrad's Kool-Aid Factory. And so for those of you that don't know Conrad, over the offseason, he always buys into the Kool-Aid. He's whipping it up at his house. And this offseason, he just decided to go ahead and create his own Kool-Aid factory. And so with that, we wanted to give Conrad the opening to give us what is the state of the Texas Tech Kool-Aid heading into the week against North Texas. And are we whipping up a drink? Are the doors back open, Conrad, or are we closed for business against North Texas on Saturday? What's going on at your Kool-Aid factory?
Well, the Kool-Aid factory is kind of like a roller coaster. You go up, down, you never know where you're going to end up. And this week, we have the doors back open again, but they're not all the way open. They're not swung open for the public. It's more of an invite only kind of thing. We have hired more staff that's able to make more Kool-Aid. We've got some green apple Kool-Aid this week just to mix it a little bit with the mean green of North Texas. I think the orders have increased, and so I'm optimistic with our sales for this week. But the orders after last Saturday night were basically non-existent. So we'll see what we have. But I think the Kool-Aid, at least from now, the time of recording to Saturday, should sell pretty well. So I'm optimistic that we'll beat the mean green and sell more Kool-Aid, and maybe we'll open up further next week. It's just we got to see what happens.
Yeah, Zyler, I know you spent a lot of time with some Cougar juice in Washington State last week, and you said that you almost hedged your whole financial stability on it. So what's going on with you with the green? What'd you call it? The green wave or
green apple? I was pretty bland with this one.
That's fair.
When you're so bland as a school that you have, you're called the mean green. I mean, I don't know how to be creative with that. Cougar juice was easy; it rolled off the tongue. But mean green, I don't know what you do with that one. So
yeah. So Zyler, did you dip into savings here to get some green apple, or what are we doing? How are we feeling?
I will not be placing any orders for the green apple Kool-Aid. I still have thousands of cases of Cougar juice that I need to sell. So I'm going to need some orders from some people at some point because I got to sell all of this stuff. So hoping the team can get it going this weekend.
Yeah. Clayton, what about you, man? Does this juice, does this Kool-Aid interest you at all, or are you holding off on buying the Kool-Aid for now as well?
Man, I'm definitely closer to Zyler, but I will say after Saturday night, I was done with the Kool-Aid, but it has been 4 days. I've slowly recovered, so I may have a glass of the green apple before Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah,
but just a glass.
Hey,
no crates.
We'll throw you a glass for free. We'll throw you a glass for free. Just make sure.
Thank you.
Make sure to put it up on your socials and let everybody know where you got it. Conrad's Kool-Aid Factory from the Broadway Shuffle.
Yeah, awesome. Well, each week you can expect Conrad to be giving you an update, and if we win on Saturday, I'm sure maybe more people want to come work. I saw a couple of reviews on Glassdoor on the chief custodial officer myself. They weren't too high, man. People are kind of, I don't know. I might be fired from that role if we don't end up winning on Saturday. So we'll see what happens. But Zyler, into the week ahead, We've got the University of North Texas coming in, kind of like Washington State. Some similarities here. Eric Morris, a former player for Tech, is their head coach. Similar type system. They like to throw the ball. But before we get into UNT specifically, are there any specific injury updates you want to let us know about going into Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit on Monday, but that was before the press conference from Joey came out. But Vinny Scurry is going to be gone for the year. He was your best offensive lineman. He was at left guard. So you're going to slide Caleb Rogers, who's now played right guard, right tackle, and will now be moving to left guard. I imagine Davion Carter will be the right guard, and then you'll stick with Buchanan and Wilson at the center and the tackle positions. And I don't know what they're going to do with Porcher. He's questionable, but I'm going to assume he's out as well. So both of your starting left offensive linemen are probably going to be out this game. Merriman graded out fine in the Washington State game, so I'm not actually that worried. And I'm on record as being a massive Sterling Porcher hater, so I'm not super upset about that. Your 4 starting edge players are all still out. Esters, Dyson, Adedire, Spencer and Adedire done for the year. I don't think we're going to get Dyson back this year. If he has a foot injury, I think that'll probably be season ending, but they still have him as questionable. I do think Taj is going to come back. There's the message board rumors and the whispers that seem to confirm that he'll be back on Saturday. So that's obviously a big boost. You'll take your first team Big 12 running back in the fold, definitely. They talk about him as a security blanket, and you could clearly see that in Saturday's performance. Barron did not look comfortable back there without him, and I will personally welcome Taj back with open arms. Those are the injury updates and kind of the only real things that you need to know as a fan from that press conference.
Gotcha. Yeah, Clayton, what were your thoughts on Joey's press conference real quick and some of those offensive line woes we've already experienced? Anything in particular that concerns you at this point, or because we already kind of had some concerns about the offensive line going into the year? Is it just a wash for you, or are you now just feeling more down about the state of the offensive line?
Yeah, definitely. I feel worse about the offensive line going forward than I have at any point in Joey's tenure, and we've had some bad offensive line play, so that's tough. And then also just like zooming out, like I feel like this is every year, bro. Like 3 weeks into the season, injury report comes out, it's like half the team, like injuries that you've never heard of. It's like, dude, how does this happen to us every year? Like me and my friends were talking about, it's like maybe the strength and conditioning coach needs to be better. It's like, how would we protect Alan Bowman from puncturing his lung, rehabbing, coming back, and then puncturing it a second time? Like it only happens to Texas Tech, dude, and it's happening yet again.
Oh, wow.
I'd like to add myself to the injury report. My heart is hurt. So I don't know. I'm questionable for Saturday because my heart is so broken and hurt already. So might as well add Clayton Anderson, Zyler Buchanan, Brennan Baxter, and Conrad Mills because our hearts are hurting, man. Wasn't able to practice this week.
For sure. Yeah, I wasn't able to get out there, unfortunately. Dude, wow. I mean, the fact that you went back to Alan Bowman and that's how far we can go, which is now 6 years ago, and he's in his 7th year playing quarterback with a conference rival. That shows you the depression of the quarterback health that we've had. It's just unbelievable.
On a random injury note, it's truly one of the weirdest ones we've had was when Fardaws missed like 80% of the season because he got ran over by a golf cart by his trainer. Like those are the kind of injuries that only happen at this program. Like just unbelievable stuff like that.
It is truly mind-boggling.
I have one more. The Kansas basketball game when it went down to the buzzer and we lost 2 starters on the last play and lost the game.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It's like, how does that even happen, dude?
Yeah, it's not football specific, right? It can happen to any sport for us, it seems like, at the worst times possible. So, well, sorry, Conrad, go ahead, man.
It's all right. I was just going to quote Andrew Baxter again. It's the curse of Mike Leach, baby.
Yeah. After he said that, and then, before the season, and now sitting where we are after the Washington State game and everything that's happening, I feel like he almost spoke that into existence if it wasn't a thing. It's definitely seems to be a thing after the loss to Washington State as well. So,
do we blame Andrew for the start of this season? Like, is he the primary culprit?
I think we should. It's good. It's a fair.
It's just a thought.
Yeah. His real estate business is going like this in Lubbock after this episode. It's just gonna take.
Hey, and you can let him know how you can blame him publicly on his YouTube channel, Lubbock Living. You can comment there, give him hate there if you'd like to do so. So at Lubbock Living.
Yeah, Andrew's
Not a sponsor,
subscribers.
but they could
Yeah,
be.
nice. Yeah, his subscriber. He's like wakes up tomorrow morning. Why do I have 80 new subscribers?
You're welcome, Andrew.
Yeah, you're welcome to our
Throw some our
friend.
way.
Yeah, to our friend Andrew. So, all right, well, let's get into UNT. Like I mentioned, Eric Morris, their head coach, similar type style. This game 3 weeks ago seemed like it was you could lock it in as a win. And we couldn't even do that against Abilene Christian, it turns out. So what do we need to know about UNT? What are they bringing in offense and defensively to Lubbock on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to sound terrible and really depressing, but it's basically a carbon copy of a lot of the teams you've been playing already. They run a version of the Mike Leach offense. It's off of the Mike Leach tree. It's Eric Morris, a former Tech receiver. They run something super similar to what Abilene Christian ran, and something without sort of the run game that Washington State had out of the backfield with the QB position, but very similar. They're going to throw the ball quickly, and they're going to throw the ball often. On a unadjusted EPA perspective in the passing game, they are incredibly effective. 29th in the country, so 0.29 per play. Very, very good passing attack. You, on the other hand, I was talking to the guys about this earlier. You're in the 0th. I don't even know how to say that. The 0 percentile defending against the pass this season. So you are legitimately the worst defense against the pass so far this season. And so that seems like it's going to be a problem. On the flip side, their rushing attack is dreadful, terrible. I mean, it is one of the worst rushing attacks in the country. They do have some offensive tackle health issues that I think we should be able to exploit. This is going to be a kind of a worse version of Washington State in my mind. It's going to be a less talented, less athletic, hopefully beatable team. I think you should be able to get after the passer a little bit. Chandler Morris will make mistakes if you press him. If you let him sit back there in the pocket and just throw who he wants to throw to, he's gonna have a big game. If we can get after him, I think he'll make mistakes. He throws interceptions. He makes dumb decisions. It's just you have to force him into that. He's not just going to make them on his own. So that's kind of the offensive breakdown.
Anything? But let's go into defense, and then I can ask Clayton and Conrad what they think overall about UNT.
Yeah, not a good defense. They've had some guys get injured. Their best defensive player in the secondary got injured right before the year. Ashim Young, he was, easily their best safety. He would play probably on your team quite a bit. So he's gone for the year. The only other guy that they have back there that's been good is a guy named Brian Nelson. He's a redshirt freshman. He's going to play cornerback, and you'll probably see him quite a bit. But all of these other guys you should be able to get. They're fine. None of these are really Power 5 transfer downs. They're D2 players. They're McNeese players, or they were out of high school for them. So these aren't super talented players. They do have some talent at the linebacker room. And then on the defensive line, there's one guy, Roderick Brown, who plays nose tackle. That's going to be a problem. Everyone else you should be able to handle. This is not a defense that should give you problems. You should be able to run on this defense. You should be able to pass on this defense. They also had 4 secondary players all get suspended for something. They didn't want to talk about it at all, but all guys, it was the Ole Miss transfer, the UT transfer, and another kid, all expected to play and contribute, and they all got suspended for something that hasn't really been talked about. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe somebody knows more about that than I do, but I'm not concerned about this defense from an analytic perspective. They're bad against the pass. They're bad against the rush. Maybe they can stop you a little bit on the run side, a little bit better there, but still dreadful on the success rate. You should be able to pass on this team. They're not good defending the pass. I expect us to be able to score here, but I also expected us to be able to score against Washington State. So on paper, you are a much better team than this. And I think the line reflects a lot of people betting against you based on your most recent performances. But the talent on paper, you should be able to crush this team.
Yeah. So Clayton, based off Z's information, confidence rising, confidence waning. What's your concern for Saturday specifically?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like after last Saturday, I was so deflated. I literally have not looked into UNT at all, but I honestly felt like against Washington State, our pass defense wasn't too bad. It was the QB runs that just killed us. So hopefully, like Chandler Morris, obviously not the runner that Mateer was. So maybe that'll help us out in that department. I would hope that our offense would be able to get back on track, being at home, playing against a defense that's definitely going to be one of the worst ones you face for the rest of the season. If it looks bad this week, that's just a pretty bad indictment on the rest of the season, I feel like. But yeah, I think hopefully we can speed Morris up, make him turn the ball over a couple times, and then capitalize on short fields.
That would be nice. Be nice to see a couple turnovers for someone else this Saturday.
Yeah.
Conrad?
Yeah, Zyler sold me. I'm all the way back in. Big 12 champs, baby. No, shit, that's a joke for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube, where you can subscribe and like.
Where?
On YouTube at the Broadway Shuffle podcast. So there you go. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, hit that like button. Let us know you're listening. I think this North Texas team, like Zyler said, on paper, you should be a lot better than you should be able to do whatever you want. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but that's what we thought about the last two teams. So I think it helps you that you're at home. I also think it helps you that you're at 11 a.m. and you're not having to wait all day. The players are just able to wake up, get at it, and ready to go. I think that'll help you in terms of their mentality going into this game, not having to wait all day. I'm not scared about this North Texas team necessarily. I don't think that they should have a chance to beat you. But the reason they could beat you and the reason the line is what it is not because of them, but because of you. You just have not played well. You have not executed. You have not coached well. And so if you can't do it this week and you can't execute at home against a team like this after you've shown you couldn't execute on the road or at home against inferior opponents, like Clayton said, that's a big indictment for what the rest of the season looks like. But I think if you show up and do what you know you can do, you should be fine. You should win this game by double digits, if not 3 touchdowns. But we'll see what happens because you never know at this point.
You never know. Shall we guess why these 4 guys got suspended? Because I don't remember. But should we?
I'll do some research.
Yeah, should we do some research and come back? It's interesting that 2 UT transfers got suspended as well too. So
I know. Is that an indictment on Sark? Does he need to fix his program?
It sounds like more of a UT thing, in my opinion, than a player thing. It's all about the culture, Conrad, do you have a guess, or what are you going to say?
I don't have anything to say. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking, though. I appreciate the invitation.
No,
to say something.
You're welcome, man. It seemed like you had something on the tip of your tongue, but we'll let
you got to think before you speak sometimes, and so that's what I just did.
Well, Z, go ahead and speak.
Yeah, maybe they went on IG Live. If you know, you know. So maybe they did something like that. We had a fellow media member fall victim to a vicious hack. Thoughts and prayers to Shannon Sharpe during this difficult time.
Pray for Shannon Sharpe.
Pray
for
Shannon. Hashtag pray for Shannon, man. Oh gosh, man. Yeah, you never know.
I hope Tech honors him. Before the game. Something to celebrate.
Oh, man.
Picture of Shannon Sharpe comes up on the screen. It's time to go live, boys.
On the week of 9/11, please. We will never forget.
Shannon Sharpe.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's such a niche joke that so many people are not going to get.
They're not going to get it, but I had a lot of fun saying it.
It is funny.
Okay,
no, I actually did. I did find it. It's a criminal trespass of a habitation. So I don't know what that means.
Of habitation?
Well, they break into a zoo?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know.
What
I don't
the
know.
heck? Oh wow!
They were swimming with the lions and tigers and bears.
Oh gosh.
Man.
Well, okay. Well, how does Tech win and how does Tech lose this game, Zyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to have a big bounce back game from Barron. I know it's so cliche to say that your quarterback has to play well, but he cannot do what he did, last Saturday. He needs to settle down. He needs to make the right checks, check into run plays with Taj if you're more comfortable with that. Your defense has to find a way to get stops. I know that they've been probably not as criticized as they should have been. I know Joey took a lot of flack for talking more about the defense than the offense, but I was looking at the analytic profile because I was like, man, that kind of not rubbed me the wrong way, but I was like, why is he harping on this so much? It felt like the offense was so much worse. And truly, this defensive analytic profile is one of the worst that I've ever seen. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was. I mean, you're in the 6th percentile on pass explosive plays given up. Like I said earlier, you're in the 0 percentile for EPA per play, and then you're in the 5th percentile for yards per dropback. Passing success rate, you're in the 16th percentile. So you have like no good passing statistics for your defense right now. It's the only thing that you've done kind of well is stuff the run. Your rushing defense is okay. And your line yards, like you're kind of blowing up running plays, like designed run plays, obviously not QB runs, but making running backs actually earn those extra yards. So if your defense, I mean, you're going to have to take another big step here. Your linebackers have to be better in coverage. But I truly think the only way you lose this game is if you go out and beat yourself. Or do you turn it over on 4th down again 2 times? Do you have 2 more picks? Do you fumble a kickoff? Or if you do those 5 to 6 turnovers, like you're probably going to lose this game. That's what I see. I think you've got to stop shooting yourself in the foot and then reloading and shooting yourself in the other foot. If they can stop doing that, you should be able to win this game. This is a game you would have been favored by 20 plus before the season started. You are the better team. You just have to go out there and show it.
Yep. Clayton?
Yeah, I'd pretty much echo everything Zyler said. I would like to see the defense at least look competent as far as defending the pass. But I think, you just have to, like Zyler said, you have to not make mistakes. I think there's a lot of things that would have to go wrong for you to actually lose the game. Turnovers probably being the most likely one. Like if you lose the turnover battle like 4-1 or something, then you might be in a dogfight. But I think I would like to see Barron play well. I would like to see a pass game down the field and not everything right at the line of scrimmage, even though those are not necessarily bad plays at the moment. Like those are working for you. I would like to be able to get something down the field going against an opponent like UNT.
Yep. Conrad?
I want to see a vicious running game with Taj Brooks, assuming he plays. I want to see those guys go out there and play angry. Not too angry to where you can't focus and you don't execute, but I want them to go out there and respond to a lot of the criticism that they've gotten, specifically the offensive line. Everything that I've been reading this week, and I'm sure you all as well, the conversations you've had, is that Barron has to be better, like Clayton and Zyler have already said. And I wonder, for me, is that going to mess with Barron's confidence going into this week? Because that is by far the worst game he's played. I'm just wondering what happens in terms of how he comes out, because he's been largely blamed, as we did on this podcast, in the media and on message boards for that loss. And so if you can't get a push with your offensive line, your running game, I don't care if Taj is playing or not, Cameron Dickey and Cameron Valdez should be able to diminish this defense, but your offensive line has to be able to push and your quarterback has to play well. To what Joey said about the defense, he's right about that. But at the same time, what he's saying kind of falls on deaf ears for us because we are used to bad defenses. I just want to see an offense that can really score, really push, and really impose their will on the defense. And I think if you do that, you'll win the game handily, even if they do score a lot of points, which they could with Chandler Morris.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think it simply comes down to pride this game. Zyler, like you said, we're the better team. We have better athletes. We're at home. And the players know, they know that what's going on behind the scenes because everyone has social media these days. They watch this podcast religiously and they know that, they should be 2-0 and they've been embarrassed. And it's like, can you come out and just play with heart? Because you are better than them. And if they do that, they'll win the game. I don't know if we'll win by 3 or if we'll win by 30, but if they do that, they'll win the game. And if you come out undisciplined, penalties, losing on 4th down, like you said, not getting third and long stops, then you keep them in the game come late third quarter and you start playing nervous, then this is going to be a big problem. And you're going to be in another dogfight against a far less superior team at home. And that's just not going to be good in any way, because then we'll sit here and be even more deflated. The fan base will continue to get frustrated, and Joey will have much more to answer to come next press conference. So,
and
One
let
thing I
me
will
just
add
say
is,
that.
like,
Or go ahead.
sorry,
Clayton.
go ahead, Conrad. No, I was just going to say, I would like to not see us attempt a fourth down outside of like their 45. I'm not saying that every call we do that is wrong, but we should be able to beat UNT by without doing that.
Yeah, you shouldn't be getting to fourth and short. I totally agree.
Yeah. And I agree, like going for it on 4th and 1 on like your own 39 seems like the way to lose this game, like getting stuffed and giving up a touchdown right after that.
yeah.
Go ahead, Conrad.
It was the same thing too with Washington State. I don't think you really needed to do that, but you did it anyway. What I was going to say about this game specifically is the way you've started this year, even the way you started last year. I think this game is really going to show you a lot about your coaching staff. Should you have confidence in them or should you not? Because we've already questioned a lot of things, whether it was Joey, Kitley, DeRuiter. We've questioned a lot of things, and rightfully so. But if you come out flat this game, I'm not saying that your team doesn't bear responsibility. The players and coaches bear responsibility, but part of your role as a coach is to motivate, to inspire, to prepare. And if you don't do that for this game, just like I think Joey would even tell you they didn't do for ACU or Washington State, he said as much in his press conferences. If you don't do that for the third game in a row against inferior opponents from a talent perspective, that's going to be a whole different conversation. That we if we lose this game, it'll be not because of coaching, but coaching will be a large factor because you just should not lose a game like this.
Yeah, for sure. But let's get into that. I want to bring up Joey's press conference a little bit because there were definitely some things said that didn't make a lot of sense. I think a lot of people were expecting him to harp on the offense. It was almost a full attack on the defensive side of the ball, even blaming the defense for giving up a touchdown when they started on our 40 because we went for it, like Clayton said, on our side of the field. So what were some of your biggest takeaways? And Clayton, I'll start with you, from Joey's presser, and what did you think was just weird? Because I think there were a lot of things that he said where we're kind of like, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense based off what we watched on Saturday night.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I feel like we kind of already harped on it, but it was surprising to hear him literally deflect most of the blame from the offense to the defense whenever you look back at the box score and realize that all but one of their touchdowns started on our side of the field, and the one that didn't started on like their 48 or something like that. So it's like, can we stop giving them the ball? Like, obviously the defense should not be giving up a touchdown on 100% of the drives to start on our side of the field, but can we stop putting them in so many of those situations in the first place? That was my thought, honestly. I don't know what y'all think.
Yeah, Zyler.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I thought Clayton, I think that's a great point. Joey talked real briefly, and I wonder if it will be what's to come, and it's maybe a larger thought that I'll talk about at a later date, but one thing that I think I am looking for in this game, and that I did notice from the press conference, is his harping on penalties. I went and looked, and somebody posted it on Twitter, but you're pacing for 133rd in the country for penalties and penalty yards per game. This would have placed you 134th 2 years ago. It'll be 133rd last year. So one of the worst in the country, if not the worst. I know they're bringing in live officials for every single practice now, for every single drill. I like that. That seems like a practical fix, help your team. And almost all of them have felt procedural, or just like kind of lazy technique. You're going to get various, defensive holdings and DPIs. Those don't necessarily bother me as much. It's the false starts and the illegal motions and the illegal formation, things like that are very preventable. Nobody's forcing you to make those penalties. I hope we see a lot of cleanup there. I'm not asking to go to 0, but like 3 penalties next week would be, or this Saturday. That's something that I was happy he noted on and implemented a practical solution immediately. And hopefully we see the fruits of that. Maybe that's just our offensive line, and maybe they're just kind of built to commit penalties. But I hope that we see a change there.
I think he did mention Caleb Rogers specifically, because if I'm not mistaken, Caleb has had a couple illegal hands to the face, and he mentioned how that's just that's lazy technique, which is exactly what Zyler just said. I think what stood out to me from Joey's press conference was what wasn't talked about, as opposed to what was. Not that he shouldn't talk about the defense, because as we've already noted, the defense has been abysmal, and you've been embarrassed there, which that hasn't been the case during his first 2 years. But what wasn't said, and not that you want to publicly criticize your starting quarterback, because you don't necessarily, unless plays terrible and you have to bench him, then that's a whole different thing. But the fact that the offense received so little conversation was just interesting to me, because of what Clayton and Zyler and Brennan have already noted. Because I do think if your quarterback had played better on Saturday, you would have won the game, even with allowing that many points, because you've shown you can score in week 1. So that was just interesting to me. But again, it did feel like a very defensive press conference, and he is a defensive coach, so that's what he likes to talk about and improve upon. So it makes sense, but it was just interesting listening to it.
Yeah, he touched on Micah Hudson a little bit not playing. He touched on Barron wanting to be better, that Barron owned up to not playing well a little bit. But yeah, there wasn't a ton of blame put on the offense, which I think a lot of people were expecting, which is why it was a little surprising. But I completely agree that the fact that the coaching staff needs to own this. The penalties is discipline. And Zyler, to your point, it's a lot of fundamentals. It's just being on the same page. A lot of pre-snap penalties are the offensive line. I mean, Josh Kelly against Abilene Christian just took off, before the ball was hiked in one instance. It was already 15 yards up the field on a penalty. And it's silly things like that it just comes down to discipline, and that falls on the coaching staff not having these guys ready to be fundamentally sound. And if that continues to be a problem, that's something that the coaching staff will have to answer. And I do think that Joey McGuire bringing in, he did mention that Dave Aranda did this similar thing with the refs at Baylor. And that was a huge help for them. And that the rest of the year they improved. They went on to play in the Big 12 championship game that year. And so maybe it's a sign of things to come. I don't know. We'll find out on Saturday. But yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, it's not all Joey's fault, of course, and we're not saying that, but it was a little odd to me. His last couple press conferences have been a little un-Joey like, I guess. Have y'all noticed that? He seems
shaken. He's definitely a little bit shaken. I genuinely think he's shocked at how this season has started. I think some coaches know they have bad teams. They get beat, and they're like, oh, well, kind of knew this was coming, and they're prepared for that. Joey genuinely seems a bit shell-shocked. I don't think he saw this coming at all, which I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But, maybe the defense really is. They were just really good in practice, and they just haven't been able to put it together. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know that you can necessarily, predict that. One note I will have on the offensive line, we do make fun of them for their penalties and things like that. I think Clay McGuire has been better. It's only 2 games in, and it's probably against the 2 worst defenses that you've had. But per Pro Football Focus, it's the 14th best pass blocking unit so far. That's what I would expect against, an FCS team and a relegated P5 team. They haven't been that bad. That has not been the reason your passing attack has been bad. For many seasons, it's been, golly, if we just had a left tackle, could we let some of these plays develop? Barron's had time to throw. It truly, most of the passing problems have either been schematic with the route concepts, or they've been Barron missing guys. So that is at least encouraging going forward. Now, you did lose 2 offensive linemen, so maybe that goes completely out the window. But I have been impressed with Clay early on. Things may change, but early returns are impressive.
Let me say one thing about Micah Hudson as well. I understand the questions. I understand the concerns. But at this point, I'm not sure Micah Hudson is going to help you win either one of those games, because the receivers that you have on the field are extremely good. And I know we've never been in this position to have a 5-star, and there's an understandable sense about that. But this is a 5-star that's not necessarily going to help you win games right now if you remove Coy Aiken. He's not going to be a massive upgrade. And so the fact that we're still harping on him and talking about him is kind of, I mean, it just feels like you're trying to find something to talk about, like something to do. If he was a defensive end and wasn't on the field, well, then I think you've got a lot of concerns. But because he's a receiver and it's your best group, I just don't think the conversation is warranted to really talk about him very much, because it's not like it's going to be a huge difference at that position because your team is so good. So I think we need to step back a little bit and stop expecting so much from a guy that didn't even go through spring football, wasn't cleared till a few weeks ago, and is still 18, 19 years old and has a lot of room to go, and a lot of strength to obtain and different things like that. So let's just cool it on Micah Hudson a little bit. Not that I don't want to see him play, but it's just the problems with your team are not related to Micah Hudson playing or not playing.
That's fair. I think a lot of us were just excited to see a 5-star receiver get on the field. And we
don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
And we talked Joey
Joey
fed the hype. Joey fed the hype.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he does. And I think that's kind of why it's a, put up or shut up game in a way. And to your point, Z, he might be completely shell shocked because he has been hyping up this roster, the defense. And he did it last offseason as well. And to do that with Hudson, it built up the anticipation. So for us to see him, like a total of 10 plays maybe in 2 games and have 1 catch for 5 yards, it's just a little surprising.
And I'm not trying to act like Micah's not going to be what Joey said he was going to be. My point is just saying he's not going to win. He's not going to transform games by his presence. He's just not. He's a true freshman. And I hope Joey's right about everything. It's just that's not going to solve everything. That's what I see a lot of times on message boards, on Twitter. It's like, put Micah Hudson in the game. Micah Hudson doesn't play defense. Like, it's your receiver's not the problem. So that's what I'm saying is just cool it with that expectation, because it's really not going to be that big of a difference, whether it's Micah or Caleb Douglas.
Yeah. Clayton, quick question for you. Are we being too hard on Barron?
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of the last game rests on his shoulders. He could not hit a throw past 10 yards to save his life. And that's not what you want to see from a QB who's been in the system for 3 years, who's played a lot over that time. Same offensive coordinator, same offensive scheme. Like, you would hope that he could go and play a team like Washington State and be able to move the ball up and down the field at will without having to spam wide receiver screen plays like basically every other play.
Yeah. I just wonder, he to play devil's advocate for Barron. What was that, like his 13th start in 3 years? He's been battled by injuries. He had Tyler Shuck here in front of him, and he didn't practice all spring. And really, who knows how much he actually got to practice a lot in the fall. And so I just wonder if he's still, maybe it's a psychological thing where he's afraid to step up, doesn't want to get hurt again, which still falls on him at some point. But I do hope, and I am a big Barron guy, so I'll go down with him if he continues to struggle and own that. But I do hope that he just gets more confidence and that builds throughout the more that he's able to play. But I do think that he still has to play better. It's no excuse that he played poor against Washington State. I just don't know if that's the version of him that we're going to see the rest of the year. Fair?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Conrad's kind of like, I don't know.
No, it's fair. I mean, I think that's pretty obviously the worst game of his career by far. I don't even think there's one that's close. So it's
Baylor,
interesting that
2 years ago was pretty close.
Sorry, I forgot about that. I chose to forget that memory.
It's crazy as a Tech fan how many awful games you can memory hole just because you've experienced so many of them.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I think it's interesting that game took place though after what you saw in week 1, because week 1, sure, he wasn't perfect, but over 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, he made some really big time throws that week. So the fact that last week happened after that performance, that's what just kind of doesn't make sense when you look at him as a player.
Yeah, that's fair. Well,
and so in the second half too, I thought it was interesting. I felt like they went with a bunch of underneath drag routes, short ends, things like that to try to get the receivers the ball, because clearly they didn't trust Barron. And we talked about this last time. I wonder what that dynamic is like right now. Like, if you're Kitley, I'm always kind of on the coordinator side. I feel like they're typical. I don't know. I wonder how. I don't think Barron's limiting Kitley. I would be very frustrated if I'm Kitley, where you drew up 3 or 4 pretty good plays that Barron should have hit that probably make that performance seem better. And there's not much more you can do as a coordinator. I know that you train and teach those guys, but it's like you can get him open. At the end of the day, he has to make those throws. I'm not defending all of Kitley's calls and things like that, but we had open routes. The one to Caleb Douglas should have been a touchdown. The pass to Josh Kelly should have been a 40 to 50, potentially even a touchdown at the end of the first. Like, we had plays that would have made the performance seem better that Barron just flat out missed. So hopefully that's something Barron gets settled down and our offense ends up looking a lot better.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Z. Is Kitley holding Barron back, or is Barron holding Kitley back? It seems, I had a friend text me that today, actually, that he was just puzzled how do we judge Kitley, because he's never really had a healthy quarterback, offensive line, skill receiver position players, but here we are this year. He has the receivers. The offensive line is now already beaten up 2 games in, and Barron had 1 good game, 1 very poor game, and now we have no idea what's going on. And so it's just kind of the state of Tech football where we don't get any answers to our thousands of questions a game into the season. It's a puzzling thing to figure out, and hopefully some of those answers will get solved this week against North Texas. So, and with that, it's prediction time. And I guess here we are, Clayton. We've dissected it. You're here. It's Saturday. What is the final score for Texas Tech and North Texas in your mind?
I'm going to go Tech 38, UNT 28. I think our offense gets back on track a little bit, but where it still does not look like it should. And our defense plays okay and gets enough stops, but it's still a close game late.
So we still kind of leave angry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's still more to be desired. But I was about to say, after Saturday, I was like, I'm not picking Tech to win unless we win 3 straight, and then I will pick Tech against Baylor. But I've since rationalized, and Tech losing to UNT at home would be one of the worst losses in school history, so I just can't do it.
Yeah. Yep. I'll take us 38-24. I think it's a big bounce back game. I think their offensive line struggles will, hopefully help build some confidence with your young defensive edge rushers and your defensive tackles. Maybe they can feast on this offensive line. There's some former Tech players there. Larry Moore and Landon Peterson are both on that offensive line. They should be very familiar, and you clearly did not have room for them. So they should be worse than the guys that you have. I think the offense gets back on track too. I think a lot of those issues get fixed. The penalties get fixed. We drive the ball down the field. Barron looks really good. Joey's been good at home. I think they come out and they, win 14 points, maybe 17 points. I don't think you pull away from this team by 21, 28. I don't think your defense is quite there yet, but I am expecting a double-digit win.
Conrad?
66-28 North Texas. Just kidding. That would be.
Can you imagine? Oh my word.
I don't want to imagine, actually, if it really happened.
I think people would still be more mad at Kitley than they would be DeRuyter.
For sure. No doubt about it.
For 100%.
Yeah, but at that point, I don't care. I mean, just at that point, it'd be terrible. No, on a serious note, that was a joke for all of you that are not watching on YouTube. Again, like and subscribe. I'll pick Tech 34-24. I think you're gonna win by 10. I think Chandler Morse is gonna throw a couple interceptions, which will be good for your defensive confidence. I think offense bounces back a little bit. If Taj doesn't play, I reserve the right to change my prediction because I do think you look disoriented without him, but we think he's going to play based on our insider information that we've gotten at the Broadway Shuffle. But I think you win. I just don't know that it's as convincing as you would have hoped it would be.
What's your prediction if Taj is out? Real quick.
31-28.
Okay.
Tech.
Yeah, 3-point win.
3-point win. I think because your offensive line is so poor and you looked lost without him last Saturday, Barron more than anybody, I think that is drastically going to change your game. And I think the chance that you lose without Taj goes from I'd probably say right now we probably have a 25% chance to lose. I think if you don't have Taj, you probably go to a 50 to 55% chance to lose if you don't have him. I think he's that big of a difference maker for our team.
Yeah, that's fair.
Any disagree? Agree?
I agree. I completely agree.
I wouldn't make them a favorite. I don't think I'd go above 50%, but I'd say
I agree.
High 30s.
Yeah. I like going last because I get to kind of see like where you guys are at and hearing some 10-point predictions. Z with a 14, but kind of that 38-24 keeps you nervous until the fourth quarter type score. I'm going to go 41-17 Tech. And I don't know if it's the apple juice that the green apple that Conrad's whipping up, but I just feel like this team, you can't do it again, man. Like there's no way a team that's less superior than you, like 3 weeks in at home in the morning, like Joey's going to have these guys ready to play. I hope. And I just don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. And they're going to have at least somewhat convincing win so we can sit here on Sunday and go, all right, like that.
We're back.
We're back. Like, and not back to an extent, but like at least we are enough of a respectable Power 5 team where we weren't embarrassed or got close to being embarrassed again at home. So 41-17. I don't know how you get there, if that's some turnovers, if that's Barron actually looking like a competent quarterback or what that will be, but that's my prediction for Saturday.
Zyler, will you be at this game?
I will not. I will be getting ready for a wedding. I should be able to watch most of the game, but I will not be actually at the game.
Dang.
I know.
Tough. Well, and then Conrad,
no
you'll be
on the ground journalism.
Yeah, you'll be at the game in 2 weeks though, Conrad, right?
Yeah, I'll be at the game in 2 weeks, and this Saturday I will be in a place far, far away where we have a lot of painful memories. Norman, Oklahoma. To see a game there for some family reasons, but it's gonna be hard. I don't know. Should I wear a Tech shirt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you going to wear
an OU shirt?
Yeah, I was gonna get a Walmart brand OU polo and then burn it after.
Conrad.
Oh no, dude.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm not.
You
I'm
need
not
to wear a Texas Tech shirt.
Dude, I don't know that I'm tough enough. If we were 2-0 and actually looked like a good football team, I think I could do that. I don't know that I'd be able to withstand some of the things that would be said to me on an emotional level if I wore a Texas Tech shirt. Not that I'm embarrassed of my university, but I'm kind of embarrassed of our football team.
You could just tell them you just beat Houston 16-12.
Yeah.
What do they have to talk about?
Well, they're 2-0.
Okay, well they're about to be 4-3 here in like 5 weeks. So,
well, yeah, I'm not saying that. I don't. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about us.
Wear the shirt. In fact, make sure you post a picture of yourself on the Broadway Shuffle, where you can follow our social media accounts at the Broadway Shuffle, and post a picture of yourself in whatever shirt you're wearing, so the world has proof to know what you're wearing, and that you're actually supporting your school, and you're not a fraud.
You think I'm a fraud?
No, I don't. That's why I don't think you would. I don't think you would do that. So okay. Well, let's get into
shirtless.
That would be that. You'd get
That's
more
the safest option.
It's for sure safer than a Tech polo. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our Big 12 power rankings real quick, and I'll go through the schedule first. There's some pretty exciting games to. Honestly, there's one in particular that I think I'm most excited for, but you've got UNLV at Kansas this week. Arizona State plays Texas State. Arizona's at Kansas State, but that is also another kind of non-conference game. Is that correct? Where those two teams are actually playing non-conference, so that does not count as a conference game. Oklahoma State at Tulsa, Cincinnati at Miami, Ohio. So not the U. And then West Virginia is at Pitt, which should be an interesting game. Pitt just came back against Cincinnati here last week. Utah at Utah State, Colorado at Colorado State, which I'm very much looking forward to. And then UCF at TCU. So there is a Big 12 game. Rice at Houston, and then BYU at Wyoming is your Big 12 slate for the week. So, gentlemen, couple games here standing out that you're most excited about, and let's pick a couple of them too. So why don't you pick, let's do Arizona State at Texas State, Arizona at Kansas State, Colorado at Colorado State, and let's do UCF at TCU. And then if you want to throw a wild card upset in as well, you can do that too. So Clayton, how do you want to do that? You want to go your upset pick first, or you want to go your straight pick 'em and then lead? It's up to you.
I'll just do. I honestly don't know if I'm taking the upset, so I'll just. Do you want me to go through those 5 games for myself?
Yep, go through those.
Okay, I'll take Arizona State, although I think that game is going to be close, like the line suggests. I think it's like 2.5. I'm actually really excited to watch that game. It would be crazy if
today.
Texas.
It's a Thursday night game.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it would be crazy if Texas State pulls off that upset. And then I'm going to go Kansas State, West Virginia. I think Colorado gets it done at Colorado State, and I think UCF beats TCU, which that I guess could be an upset. I don't know what the line is on that one.
Yeah, I like all those picks. I think the Arizona State Texas State game is like a 3-point spread. Like it's going to be a close game, or at least bookmakers expect it to be close. I'll take ASU. I was high on them to start the season, and I think they're going to work Texas State. I'll take Kansas State. I still don't believe in Arizona. I'll take West Virginia. I'll take Colorado State, even though I think that's probably a really bad pick. And then UCF is my most confident pick. I think they actually announced themselves pretty loudly to the Big 12 and announced that they're ready to compete and potentially contend for a Big 12 title. So I'll take UCF by double digits at TCU.
Nice. Conrad?
I also think, one more thing. I think Rice blows the doors off of Houston.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick Texas State and future Texas Tech Red Raider head coach GJ Kinn over Arizona
Stop
State.
that right now. Stop that right now.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry.
I would.
That was
I want their
totally a
offensive
joke. That was
coordinator.
totally a joke. Yeah, he's pretty good. But,
Who is their OC?
It's like Leftwich or something like that. He's pretty creative.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a joke for everybody. But GJ Kinn would be an up and coming name to watch. So I will pick Arizona State. I'll pick Kansas State as well at home, and then West Virginia, and then I'll pick Colorado against Colorado State. But the one thing I will disagree with Zyler is I do think that TCU at home is going to win. I just think they're gonna score pretty easily on UCF, even though UCF has played pretty well. I just think Josh Hoover's really good, and I think he's going to prove that he's better than a lot of people gave him credit for going into this year. And then I also will pick Rice to beat Houston as well. That would be amazing and super fun to watch in their own city. Have the private school beat the University of Houston. I just think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we got to start doing a scoreboard of our weekly Big 12 picks so we can keep track of it. That's one thing I didn't think about, and then we can post them and post our record. I'm in agreement with all of you on all those picks except Conrad. I'm going UCF at TCU as well, but I think Rice is going to get Houston. One upset though, I mean, sneaky game. I was just there. Tulsa. By the way, people sleep on the state of Oklahoma quite a bit. I just spent 3 days there. Honestly, the more I'm in Oklahoma, the more I like it. I don't like the universities, but Tulsa is a great city, man. I could see them keeping it close against Oklahoma State. I know nothing about Tulsa, by the way, like absolutely nothing about the football team. I just for some reason, it just seems like it could be a weird game. I don't know, so we're gonna go there. So anyways, I'm excited for the Colorado State game too. I mean, if Colorado loses that game, man, you're looking at a really tough season for them as potentially as well. That's a big game for them to try to win on the road just to kind of keep some sort of excitement in their season. No rappers will show up to the rest of their games if they lose them. So, they need to definitely win.
But if you do, if you are watching this, if you would like to come play quarterback for us, you are welcome to do so. Bring your boy Travis Hunter as well. You guys are victim to poor coaching and a poor team around you. Y'all need to come to a real program like Texas Tech. So feel free. Come on.
Yeah, feel free. Come on down to Lubbock, Shador. No, we're not giving up on Barron yet. He's still our quarterback.
I'm not giving up on Barron. I just think Shador is, he wants to stay shining or whatever it is,
Yeah, he will be
Is
a first.
is that his
round
song?
pick.
Stay Shining? Is that what
I
it
have
is?
no idea.
He has something like that.
Yeah, Clayton knows. Clayton's in on the music world. He's going to he's going to ACL this year, I think. Aren't you, Clayton?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Clayton knows. So if you go to ACL, you know music. It's just right. I mean, that's just kind of how that works, I think.
That's a baseline. Yeah.
Baseline. Yeah. So, okay. Well, real quick, guys, I want to end the show with some ratings here. So Big 12 ratings. We do this every Thursday episode. We go through the Big 12 schedule, and then we give our weekly ratings of where teams stand. So, Zyler, go through real quick your 16 teams and where they stand in the Big 12 as of week 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go Utah. This is very subject to change. If Cam Rising is actually out for a little bit, they are going to be significantly worse. But Cam Rising healthy, I'm going to go Utah, Kansas State, Iowa State, UCF, TCU, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Arizona State above Arizona, and then Kansas all the way down at 10th. BYU shoots up to 11th for me. Baylor still at 12, Texas Tech at 13, Colorado at 14, Cincinnati at 15, and then Houston at 16.
Yeah, I can't really say that Tech deserves to be any higher than that. So 13 might seem fair, might even be a little too high. I don't know. We'll see. Clayton, what about you, man?
Yeah, I do have Tech a little lower than that, actually. But I have Utah 1, but I agree with Zyler. If Rising's out, they're definitely in trouble, especially the fact that they have to play at OSU in like 2 weeks. I have K-State 2, Iowa State 3, Oklahoma State 4, UCF 5, TCU 6, West Virginia 7. I still have Arizona above Arizona State. I have them at 8, and then Arizona State at 9. Kansas at 10. I can't believe anyone bought the Kansas hype this offseason. I guess you can say the same about Tech, but I could see this coming from a mile away. BYU at 11, Baylor 12, Colorado 13, Cincinnati 14, Tech at 15, and then Houston dead last.
Nowhere to go but up, baby.
No,
Hell yeah.
Well, I can't believe we bought the Kansas hype, but the team that we bought hype for, they're actually second to last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what an idiot believing Kansas would be good.
Those morons thinking Kansas would be competing in the Big 12. All right, Conrad, what about you?
Yeah, I've got Utah at 1, Kansas State 2, Iowa State 3, TCU at 4, Oklahoma State at 5, UCF at 6, West Virginia at 7, Arizona at 8, Arizona State at 9, Kansas at 10, BYU at 11, Baylor at 12, Texas Tech at 13. I did have Tech last, and then I changed my pick because I don't know that I can get there yet. We lose this game, I won't even have Texas Tech.
We will be dead last if we lose this game.
We stop the rankings at 15 next week if we lose.
Yeah, we're not going any. It'll be no contest. So I've got Tech at 13, Colorado at 14, Cincinnati at 15, and Houston at 16.
Yeah, man, I saw the notes actually like halfway in the show. I scrolled down and I saw that you had Tech last. I started laughing. So I'm a little disappointed you changed it because I was excited to see you have us last, honestly. I really know, I know I'm the judge and the jury here on y'all's rankings. Really no complaints. I think Tech in the 13 to 15 range is completely fair. And yeah, I think the top 7 or 8, they'll play roulette throughout the season, but there's really no question those top 4 or 5 teams look to be the class of the conference this year. And my pick was Utah to win if Rising's healthy. I still think they have an unbelievable defense, and they still have quite a few skill position players on offense to maintain that too. So as long as Utah stays healthy, I think they'll stay number 1 throughout the season. So, well, guys, we've come to the end of the show, and that means that it's trivia time with Zyler. So you can look forward to Tech trivia every episode here on the Broadway Shuffle to close out our show. So, Zyler, what do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, if you're still here, please like and subscribe. Broadway Shuffle on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, all of those other platforms. We are not on SoundCloud. We're not that advanced yet, but we'll get there one of these days. The genesis of this question, I was thinking about our passing game and I was thinking about receiving, and I was like, man, I wonder who some of the best receivers Tech has had, all time. We've had some great guys, Mickey Peters, Joe Filani, Detron Lewis, guys like that maybe only hardcore Tech fans know, but guys that were really good. I did not expect the all-time leading receiver to be this individual, though. Do any of you have a guess on who the all-time leading receiver at Texas Tech is? He played in the 2000s.
In the 2000s?
Yeah, so 2000 onward. He was not like a 1990s guy or something like that.
But you're not saying like between 2000 2010, right?
No. 2000 on. Yep.
Is it Jordan Hicks?
Brennan with a very good guess. Conrad?
Wes Welker?
Another good guess.
I think it's Jakeem Grant.
Jakeem Grant is actually the answer. He's one of 5 receivers to eclipse 3,000 yards with 3,286. He just barely beats Michael Crabtree, who had 3,127. Big caveat is Michael Crabtree did that in 2 seasons. Jakeem did his in 4 seasons. But Jakeem is your all-time leading receiver. I did not know that.
That is crazy, dude.
I had no idea. But yeah, then it goes Wes Welker, Lloyd Hill. I had no idea who that was. And then Carlos Francis, Eric Ward, Jarrett Hicks, Detron Lewis, Nehemiah Glover, Joel Filani. TJ Vasher's in our top 20. That was probably the most shocking thing here.
That is interesting. I feel like
where
I
is
just
TJ
like
Vasher now?
I don't know.
No idea.
Probably bagging groceries.
Yeah. Working in a car dealership somewhere.
Hey, TJ, if you want to come on the pod and talk about your catch against Texas, you are more than welcome to do so. That was a highlight moment.
TJ, I had a class with TJ, actually. He sat next to me in a sport management class. Really nice guy. So shout out to TJ. I also sat next to Terrence Steele, which is hilarious because I was like, this dude is nothing, and now he's starting for the Cowboys, which is pretty funny. I just like going back to I think my last answer was BJ Simmons or Cody Hodges. I went Jordan Hicks. For some reason, I just have a love for the early 2000s, or I'm just trying to show off I'm just trying to show off my tech knowledge. Either one, I don't know. So. Well, boys, that was a lot of fun, man. I enjoy doing this with y'all. Like Zyler and Conrad said throughout the show, you can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel at the Broadway Shuffle at Texas Tech Sports Podcast, and follow us on our social media channels, the Broadway Shuffle, and on X at the Broadway Shuffle. So, Clayton, where can they find us on YouTube again?
At the Broadway Shuffle. Feel free to like and subscribe, boys. Run those numbers up.
Run them up.
I got to pay for food this week, so
yeah.
And the reason and the reason we're mentioning that is we are trying to provide something to Red Raider Nation that's unique, that's real, that's authentic, that is opinionated, and that's for normal guys just talking about Tech football, Tech basketball, Tech baseball, and softball, and all those other fun sports.
We will not be talking about softball.
We're paying somebody $1 million a year. We got to mention it at least once or twice. No, we just want to be real, authentic. We want to have fun. And want to be easy to listen to. So feel free to let us know what you think of the show in the comments as well. Send in your questions
and like and subscribe. One episode we just plug 30 like and subscribes in the whole time. People are like, these guys are so desperate, man. We're actually not. We don't care whoever listens. We have too much fun doing this anyways, but we hope you join the journey with us as well. So, for Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler, I'm Brennan. We'll see you guys next week after a Texas Tech win against North Texas. So boys, wreck 'em, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Thanks, Brennan.
Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em.